So we're going to start in 2 minutes. I just want to say again that if you don't want to be recorded or be broadcasted on Larry's or Gary's show, let us know before you speak. What I'm going to do now is mute everyone. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much. I feel better already just seeing you. I want to welcome everyone, and I'm going to mute everyone and ask Randa to unmute herself. And I want to invite everyone as we arrive to arrive in our bodies. And we might sing with her, we'll be muted, but singing together really helps our vibrations collectively, even if we can't hear each other. But also, I just want to invite you to just feel what you're feeling in your body right now. And thanks again for being here.
And the words are on the chat, I think, I hope.
I'm muting everybody, Randa. You're going to have to unmute yourself.
Randa, you're muted.
Okay. All right. We all set, Care? Good. All right. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind just stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Well, I woke up this morning with my mind, sing it with me, stayed on justice. I woke up this morning with my mind, stayed on justice. Oh, woke up this morning with my mind, just stayed on justice. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Well, I'm singing and shouting with my mind, stayed on justice. I'm singing and shouting with my mind, stayed on justice. I'm shouting and singing with my mind, stayed on justice. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Ooh, yeah. I woke up this morning with my mind just stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Thank you so much. Deep breath. Let's invite each other into a different space than all of the news we've been reading, and invite each other into our bodies, into our hearts, and into community. Anybody here for the very first time? Besides Mike? So here we are, Tuesdays with Tillis, a community of nonviolent resistance. We've been resisting Tillis and the Trump administration for 181 continuous weeks, and we have become a community. And recently, we've been really focusing on actions we can take, and that's been really interesting. So today, what we're going to do is first we'll hear from the grannies who take so many actions all the time and have inspired us this whole time. And after the grannies sing, we're going to hear from Lori about an action that we need to take today or tomorrow. And we're going to hear a little report from Mike because yesterday we had a special guest at the Food Zoom, and it was great. And he's going to report on that. And there may be some other reports at noon. We're hearing from our special guest, Chanel Croxton. She's the regional director of the North Carolina regional director, of the National Domestic Workers Association. And we're really focusing on the HEROES Act and trying to pressure the Senate to pass it, let them know that they need to pass it. So really honored to have her. But she's at a protest, actually, until 11 in Raleigh. So she'll join us at noon. Okay, take it away, grannies.
Jay, did you want to say something before we sing?
I don't.
Okay, then here we go. We're singing for the HEROES Act. We need it passed today, 'cause COVID's still around and working folks have lost their pay. They feed the nation and they keep us strong. So pass the HEROES Act.
Domestic workers, farm workers, nurses, barbers too need a steady income all the whole year through. They pay their taxes, they deserve a living wage. So pass the HEROES Act.
College students, children out of work or sick. Immigrants or native born need your help right quick. We need this bill to keep our nation strong. So pass the HEROES Act.
We sing today for dignity for each and every one. All families need an income, no matter where they're from, to feed and clothe and house them safe and free from harm. So pass the HEROES Act.
Listen up, you senators, the ball is in your court. If you don't pass the HEROES Act, your term will be cut short. We'll vote you out if you won't heed our cries. So pass the HEROES Act.
Fuertes, fuertes, fuertes somos ya. Fuertes, fuertes, fuertes somos ya. We're the voters rising up today to pass the HEROES Act. Yes, we're the voters rising up today to pass the HEROES Act.
That is so incredible.
Incredible.
It's incredible. Vicki, did you write that?
I did.
It's fantastic. Thank you so much. It's so amazing that you all managed to be right on target with all these different things. And wow, I think we might have to, if there's time, ask you to sing it to Chanel when she comes, our guest. But thank you. So beautiful. So we're going to move on to some action, and I would like to ask Lori, can you talk first? Lori Fox?
I'm okay. Okay. Yeah, just briefly, the administration is trying to change the rules for asylum seekers in order to prevent worthy souls from entering our country. They're basically the changes that they would make it virtually impossible for especially people from El Salvador, Central America, and Mexico. You know, the asylum is an internationally understood term, and it's basically for people to be allowed to come into a country if they're seeking refuge from fear of persecution for religion, for nationality, for political opinions, for the social group to which they belong. And what this new asylum rule will reduce and almost eliminate much of those reasons for seeking asylum. In particular, there will be a ban on all claims arising from gender-based harm, including victims of domestic violence, claims persecuted for their sexual identities, or LGBTQ status or advocacy even. They would ban all claims to gang violence, including those who have worked against gangs. They would significantly reduce the protections for all those facing persecution based on their political opinions or advocacy. They basically want to paint asylum seekers as liars who are trying to game the system. So this new regulation would go into effect. Actually, I'm not sure of the date, but in order to voice our public opinion, and we need to write to on the government website, we have to submit our opinions by 11:59 p.m. tomorrow night. I'm sorry it's such a short notice, but between now and then we have time to voice our opinions. There is in the chat a link, except apparently it doesn't work in the chat. You'd have to copy it and post it in your own email, or in Jules' email this morning. The link works. So you can get talking points on the link, and you can actually submit your comment from one of the other links. So please do so before tomorrow midnight. That's it. There are many more reasons. I just, I didn't want to read them all to you. I'm not hearing anybody.
We would have time for a few questions. This is important.
So who's behind this exactly?
I received this email from the North Carolina Justice Center, but many organizations are behind it. I just happened to receive it from the Justice Center. Good question.
Oh, I see. What I meant was McConnell. I meant McConnell or.
It's, the one and only Miller.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Right.
It is terrible. It is.
I see.
It's just horrendous.
It's like sending the kids back who arrived on boats during World War II, refugees. Just send the boat back. Have them exterminated. And that's the kind of political perspective it is.
It seems to eliminate everything.
Is this to be an executive order, or is it going through Congress?
It's a regulation. I don't know. Yeah, I don't actually know what the real process is, but it's an immigration regulation.
Diane Robertson just put in, there's also a plan to allow civilians to enforce ICE regulations.
Right.
And I saw that too. That's unconnected to this, right?
No.
But
Yeah, this is for people entering the country.
right.
ICE is to throw them out of the country.
Right. It's just all a piece. It's all connected.
Yeah, right. No, that's right.
Holy.
That's right. But I do want to lift that up because I saw this as well, that there's going to be a citizens brigade also masterminded by Stephen Miller, people who will be armed. And Diane, you make a very good point that it's in time for the elections. So we have people walking around with guns. And I don't know if there's anything we can do to resist that.
So this is legalizing vigilantes, basically.
We used to call them
Exactly.
vigilantes. Now they're being called deputies. Same thing.
Same thing.
Stop by any other name.
Yeah. Yeah. So anything we can do about that other than voting these assholes out? Excuse my language.
I think we have to voice our outrage to our current representatives. I mean, we can't be quiet about it. We can't not say anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Good. And not to mention senators. Yeah. Good.
Karen, I think you asked a good question. Is there anything we can do? I listened last night to a talk by Lisa Fithian on, she's the author of the book, Shut It Down. And she talks to that question precisely about what we can do and what we must do. And I was going to put it in the chat, but I highly recommend, I'll put the link in there that you listen to. It's about a 30 or 40 minute talk, but I think it was right on in terms of our need to be more direct in our actions. So I'll stop there.
Vicki, I would love for you to put the link in the chat and for that link to go out because I got to know Lisa in Washington, D.C., and she's really quite amazing. Yeah, thank you for that. Okay.
And remember that Ann Robertson, who is an immigration attorney in Raleigh, will assist any undocumented person for free on Tuesdays. Just call her and make an appointment. If you know someone who is really needing an attorney, she is excellent. A refugee program has gone down the tube. She said that just doesn't even, we can forget that for right now.
Lib, can you put her name in the chat or have someone put her name in the chat?
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It looks like also that universities, but other entities are suing the government to try to stop them from throwing international students out of the country who are not enrolled in classes.
Yes, that was good news. I think there's like 30 of them now. Interestingly, Duke is not among them.
Actually, they are.
Oh, good. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Just, one more thing while we're on this subject, probably many of you saw the reporter who wrote the book on child separation interviewed on MSNBC recently. That seems really important that all of that is documented in that book. And, maybe we should have a speaker about that at some point, maybe think about that. Okay, wow. Okay, really important. So yesterday, there was a hugely uplifting Monday food Zoom call. We have these calls every week, a group of us that are interested in food insecurity and supporting food providers. And we had the pleasure of welcoming Jenna Wadsworth, who is running for North Carolina Commissioner of Agriculture. And I asked Mike if he would talk a little bit about what that was like.
Before I start on Jenna Wadsworth, I'd like to just pass along some information. I watched a two-part series on PBS over the weekend called American Experience. It's about the suffragist movement and the 50-year stride, their 50-year effort to secure the vote, which started in 1870 and culminated with the last state to approve it in 1920. It's 4 hours long, two 2-hour programs, but it was inspiring to watch these women never back down. So I believe it's worth watching. Anyhow, Jenna Wadsworth, I only went to this because I wanted to hear what she had to say. I was not familiar with who she is. She's an incredible young woman. I'm from Chicago, and although he was not my state senator in 2004, I was extremely inspired by Barack Obama when he made a speech at the Democratic convention. And I think that this woman, who's only 31 years old, is possibly that kind of a person, once in a lifetime leader. She was amazing. This is a quote that she put on her website. I guess what drives, she's also running against the 4-term incumbent, Steve Troxler. And as she said yesterday, as she takes her runs through Raleigh and passes his office, every time she's ever gone by, the lights have never been on. So I guess that's reason enough to go out and vote him out. Anyhow, here's her quote. I guess what drives me is knowing that my work with soil and water, or with my nonprofit, or with international affairs, or with the School of North Carolina, School of Science and Math, NC State, all of these things that make a difference. She was raised on a farm in Johnston County. She's born in Raleigh, raised on her grandparents' farm in Johnston County. She graduated from NC Science and Math in 2007. 2011, she graduated magna cum laude at NC State. 2010, she said history as a 21-year-old with her election to a 4-year term of the Wake County Soil and Water Commission. She is an environmentalist and will use this in her approach as commissioner. She was reelected in 2015 to the Wake County Soil and Conservation. She is a Farm Bureau member. She is a gourmet cook, and she loves to use the produce that she grows herself to make her meals. The key issues that she stands for: farmland preservation, climate change is real and building resiliency into our farm plans, expansion of new crops and diverse revenue streams, including the promotion of hemp and cannabis legislation, environmental education, especially in our public and private schools, water quality, food science research, soil health, local foods, agribusiness development, fair farm labor practices, and immigrant support for renewable energy rights, rural broadband, and rural healthcare investments. Her opponent is Steve Troxler. He's been in office for 16 years and wants to have 4 more. It's time to vote him out. And again, she is, I believe, a true progressive that can really bring future to it. So in 4 years, she'll be eligible to run for president. She's got my vote.
That's perfect, Mike. Thanks so much. Questions or comments? Other people were on that call and may want to chime in. Yeah, Mark, go ahead.
I was on that call also, and I agree with Mike. She's very, very impressive. And what I liked was she was tying everything together. So it wasn't just agriculture. She was looking broader, and the broader impact that everything has these days on everything else. She sees that, and I don't know that Troxler has a clue. So I think it was really impressive, I think, to see her ability to look at the bigger picture. And then I also liked how she was taking the things that Mike talked about, that list, she was turning into specific things she wanted to have done. So, having programs in our classes, in our schools that would give people appreciation for where their food is coming from by actually using land available at schools to start raising crops and having kids understand what that means. So she's very, very impressive. I would highly recommend that if you get a chance to listen to her. She's really, really dynamic, and I think could be an excellent choice.
And I also, she really at least talked about poverty. She at least talked about inequality in terms of so much with rural, urban, and really getting the internet in terms of, I know there's there's a better phrase for all that. She really got that. So I was also I was very impressed.
She actually made me cry. She was so inspiring, and she really she really understands systemic poverty and systemic racism, and how her work as the Commissioner of Agriculture can just move things in a whole different direction than we're in now. And Troxler takes money from oil and gas. He's on the side of the big agribusiness. So I think any way that we can support her, I'm hoping that maybe Flip and C and Neighbors on Call may get behind her candidacy.
Didn't she win the primary in March? The Democratic primary?
She must have, because she's running against the Republican now.
Yeah. And that was a big win, because there were several people running on the Democratic side. Yeah.
Great. So I think we can put that in the good news category. And when there's a blue tsunami in November, she'll be swept along in it. So what else do we have today before we start on the HEROES Act? Oh yeah, the Sons of the Confederacy are contributing to the campaign of Troxler, her opponent. Thank you for that. That's important.
I thought Al McShirley's comments this morning on Bill Barr were quite good.
What did he say?
He responded well. He was talking about his term when he was teaching in New York, not far from where Barr's father was, and Epstein was a teacher at the school where Barr's father was, and he was basically his protege, and how Ghislaine Maxwell could blow the whole thing up. And that's why Barr made all those, in his opinion, those changes in New York with the attorney for the Southern District, the Eastern District, and and it could be something else if she actually gets a chance to talk and is willing to lower the boom. So he responded.
Where was Al speaking?
No, he wasn't speaking. He responded to an email that Gerardo sent out yesterday for the care committee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw. I think Al and I are on the same page. This whole thing with Barr has very little to do with Trump and a lot to do with his father and Epstein. This is all about Epstein, and that really could make that's what the whole thing is about. We are being taken down a different rabbit hole, which we should.
This is Lib. I heard yesterday from YH, who's on the phone, that in Pittsburgh, there is a huge flag. You probably already know that.
Billboard. Yeah.
You already know about the billboard? I'm sorry, I didn't.
No. This is great.
So
Yeah.
the community has actually funded a billboard that is put up right next to the flag, and it will be up until December. Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, this is the huge Confederate flag, and the billboard is
right.
Yeah.
Thanks, YH.
Yeah, thanks, YH. Yes, Mark.
Mark, I'd like to just thank the care committee. Gerardo, that was a wonderful note yesterday that you sent. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Great.
Can I remind people about the Black strike that's happening on Monday?
Good.
20th all over the country. A lot of it is virtual, but there are at least 25 cities where there's going to be actual actions, and Durham is one of them. The downtown McDonald's in Durham on Morgan Street at noon, there will be people there protesting the low wages, the lack of access to unions, the lack of protection for workers in a number of low-wage industries across the country. So hopefully we can each find a way to support and participate that. The Poor People's Campaign has taken it on and pushing it really hard as one of the coalition partners with unions, a lot of different unions.
Jan, yes, Maple. They're looking for people to come down, and physically they would love more people over.
Speaking of the Poor People's Campaign, in case you missed it, this morning in the New York Times, Reverend Barber's Repairers of the Breach is the recipient of funding from the George Soros Foundation. They are making a $240 million commitment for long-term change in the area, obviously, of race and equity. And one of the organizations that was selected is Reverend Barber's Repairers of the Breach. So I thought that was really quite significant. It's a good article if anyone, go find it in the New York Times.
Great. Thank you so much. So before we leave that, Maple just piped up about this protest. It's going to be at noon at the McDonald's on Morgan Street in Durham. Those protests are always so wonderful because they're led by the low-wage workers themselves from Rise Up and Fight for 15. So I'm really hoping that a lot of us can go to that. And the long string that I just put in the chat is the toolkit for the strike for Black Lives on the 20th.
Yeah, Jan probably put that in because I'm on the phone. It's Maple. Thank you.
Hi, Maple. Thank you. Any other updates from the Poor People's Campaign?
There's one, and that's the Fed Up program that we're partnering with. And on alternate Fridays, we're delivering food. And we can always use volunteers to be either car packers or deliverers or more. So get in touch if you have some time to spare. Some of us have been driving on Friday mornings, and it's been really very satisfying.
Thank you. Chanel, Miss Croxton, did you join us? We're waiting for her.
Yep, it's me.
Hi, welcome. Did I say your name right?
Yeah, Chanel or Cece. I go by Cece. So.
Okay, Cece, I'm so honored that you came today. Thank you so much. I've been on other calls with you. I'm always so impressed by you and so thrilled to have you come join us today. So Cece is the North Carolina State Organizing Director of the National Domestic Workers Alliance. She's fresh from another protest. We're here every week. We've been coming together for 181 weeks to resist the Trump administration and try to make Tom Tillis do right, which never works, but we're just now going to vote him out. So I'm going to let you just take it away from here. And thanks again for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you all for having me. Yes, I am fresh off an action. We just came back from Raleigh. We just had a really great worker speak out in front of Tom Tillis's office. It was a part worker speak out and car caravan action. We had folks from our organization, National Domestic Workers Alliance, the NC-AFL-CIO, members of CIMBRA North Carolina, the Duke Grad Students Union, as well as Carolina Jews for Justice. And we were delivering a message that Tom Tillis needs to do his job the same way that essential workers are doing their job and have been doing their job in this pandemic and beyond. A little bit about our organization. I'm with the National Domestic Workers Alliance. We are a 13-year-old organization that is both national and locally based. My work is out of the state of North Carolina. And we really are the vehicle for the millions of domestic workers, and that includes folks who are caring for our elderly, our disabled children, and cleaning our homes. And we are the vehicle to raise standards for, workers in those industries. We know these industries are populated mostly by women of color, and Black women, and our low-wage sectors as well. And so, because these sectors have been left out of a lot of labor protections that a lot of workers are afforded, we are working to correct history and make sure that the folks who are doing the work that makes all other work possible are taken care of, the same way that they care for our whole communities. And so, we came together today to partner with other workers to say that the pandemic has really exposed a lot of the inequities, the disparities that workers already face, and has just exacerbated a lot of the conditions that workers are facing every day. Lack of PPE, the lack of testing, the lack of hazard pay for folks who are putting their lives and their families' lives on the line. And we know that the government needs to do a lot more, and specifically our government needs to do a lot more. North Carolina has one of the worst unemployment programs in the country, and one of the issues that is happening right now is folks who are not able to work, or folks who are not working because of their health. They are facing this terrible unemployment system, or if folks are going to work, they're not receiving the pay that is equal to the risk that they're taking. And so what is within this HEROES Act, which is what we were pushing today, is a really comprehensive approach to COVID-19 relief that includes provisions like hazard pay at the rate of additional $13 an hour per worker, up to $10,000. We have funding for testing, PPE, rental assistance, which is really huge for workers right now. We know a lot of folks in a lot of states are their evictions and foreclosures moratoriums are coming to an end. And so, folks are really struggling to make ends meet and figuring out how to pay their bills and how to stay housed. We also know that folks are, finding it hard to, afford the food to provide for their families that they need. And a number of things that, are facing a lot of us. And so it's really important for us to come together as both supporters and also workers to lift up the voices of the folks who are on the front lines and have been on the front lines, and say that our government cannot fail us. Our government has a history of failing us, and this is a time to put people before profits and put people before the economy. And there's a lot of ways that we're fighting back, and this is one of the ways. I'm glad that you all have been holding down this work, calling out Tom Tillis for as long as you have. We know his history. And we know that he's not alone. They have a whole Senate that is backing him, that is not acting on the provisions that workers need right now. And it's time for our government to actually represent the people and the will of the people. And so that is a little bit about what we were doing today and what we continue to do. And then also just, bolstering worker power. We know we're not just going to get it through legislation or through elected office, but it really comes from the ground up, and workers really standing in their power and taking power through direct action, through raising their voice, telling their stories, and to be mass organized. We have to have a mass movement, and we're really happy to be talking with you all today to extend our movement and to make sure that we are walking hand in hand with our community members and folks who really rely on care workers and this mutual kind of reciprocity. And so I really, really appreciate being here. Thank you all for having me. I would love to, be able to answer questions or, open up the floor, whatever you had in mind.
That's terrific. Thank you so much. Yeah, we have time for questions, and I put some of the key provisions of the HEROES Act in the chat box so that when we call or write or do letters to the editor, we can use those points. So yeah, we can open up for questions.
Is that the Raging Grannies?
It is.
We love the Raging Grannies.
How many people were there today at Tillis's office?
Yeah, so we had, so out on the sidewalk, there was the 4 workers speaking. We had a number of people capturing the live stream, and then we had about a 25 to 30 car caravan behind them. Yeah. So it was really powerful.
So I have a question, Cece. I'm Maggie. I'm a Raging Granny. Can you tell somebody, not me, but a way to put it in the chat, how your organization is, do we go to the website of the NCWA to find out more? Or is there a larger one with all of your organizations and a website and so on? Thank you.
Yeah. So there's a number of ways to capture information about our organization. Our website is one of those. Folks can go to domesticworkers.org. And actually on the front page is a petition to support the HEROES Act and to send in a letter to your senator about passing the HEROES Act. And so that's right there on the front page. We are also doing a number of things that you can plug into on our website. One of the things we've been doing since the COVID-19 pandemic broke out is doing mutual aid for our members, not only just our members, but also domestic workers at large. So we have a large care fund. And so we've been sending out $400 one-time payments to workers in this time to make sure that, the economic impacts of the pandemic haven't prevented them from being able to afford the things that they need to afford. And so that's one of the ways, obviously donating. And then, I think another way that folks can, bolster the work we're doing is always like lifting it up on your platforms, being able to speak to your folks in your community about the work we're doing. I think a lot of folks are touched by care work. So maybe you have someone in your family who is receiving care from a home care worker or a direct care worker, or you have grandchildren who are in childcare, or you have someone coming in to clean your home. And so we're always making those connections with folks who might be employers or folks who might be touched by care. And we know that care, like having a care economy that works for all, is something that we all can get behind, something that we all benefit from. And so there's just a number of things that we move, whether it's on the legislative side or on the organizing side, in order for us to really realize a care economy that works for all. And so, folks can get on our listserv to find out upcoming actions, other ways to support campaigns that we're running, federal legislation or statewide legislation. But the best way is to, kind of go on that website and sign up.
Great. Thank you.
Cece, we have time for other questions, but I wonder if you could receive a gift from the grannies, which is they wrote a song about the HEROES Act, and I bet they'll sing it for you. We've already heard it, but I want to hear it again, and I think they would love to sing it for you. Okay? So just receive this as a gift of gratitude to you for all your organizing and our commitment to organize around this as well.
Thank you so much, Cece. Yes, this one is for you. We're singing for the HEROES Act. We need it passed today, 'cause COVID's still around and working folks have lost their pay. They feed the nation and they keep us strong. So pass the HEROES Act.
Domestic workers, farm workers, nurses, barbers too, need a steady income all the whole year through. They pay their taxes, they deserve a living wage, so pass the HEROES Act.
College students, children out of work or sick, immigrants or native born, need your help right quick. We need this bill to keep our nation strong. So pass the HEROES Act.
We sing today for dignity for each and every one. All families need an income, no matter where they're from, to feed and clothe and house them safe and free from harm. So pass the HEROES Act.
I think we might have lost Karen. Her verse was, Listen up, you senators, the ball is in your court. If you don't pass the HEROES Act, your term will be cut short. We'll vote you out if you won't heed our cries. So pass the HEROES Act.
Fuertes, fuertes, fuertes somos ya. Fuertes, fuertes, fuertes somos ya. We're the voters rising up today to pass the HEROES Act.
Amazing. Thank you. I hope it was okay. I recorded that just for myself, but that was amazing.
Well, can you talk just a little bit more about, specifically for domestic workers, why you feel the HEROES Act is so important?
So I think there's a number of things within the HEROES Act that really impacts the industries that we organize. It both has provisions that aid workers within the workplace and also in outside of the workplace, because we know that workers are not just people who are at their jobs, but they also have full lives around that. And so one of the essential pieces that our membership has been asking for is hazard pay. And there really is no way around that. Really awarding people for the risk that they're taking going to work, to make sure that our essential workers are able to show up each and every day. We absolutely have to pass hazard pay, and this can't just be from employer to employer, but it has to be a mandate, because we know that with the choice to do right or do wrong, a lot of times employers do not do the right thing, and so we definitely need that to be part of a universal mandate for all employers to provide that hazard pay. And then also, we see the impacts that are happening outside the workplace. So the ability to afford housing, and the housing crisis that is happening right now. It was already a really big problem for low income workers. And you put a global pandemic on top of that, people's abilities to stay in safe housing has really been impacted. And so I think that's one of the provisions that is really crucial within this act. And then also this act, it corrects some of the exclusions of the previous congressional packages. And so one of the highlights of this one is that those stimulus checks that we saw before that undocumented immigrant workers were not receiving, although they've been doing the work and doing the work consistently, that has been corrected. And so within this, it actually allows payments for folks with I-10 numbers, which it did not allow last time. The exclusions for workers who worked in workplaces that had over 500 employees are now included. So, folks like that are working for Walmart or these kind of big box stores, they were excluded from those paid sick and paid leave provisions in the previous packages. So they're included now. Folks who have children who are older than 17 but are still dependents, they're able to get payments for them as well. And so it's just a comprehensive omnibus bill that is correcting a lot of the gaps that existed in the previous packages. And those are the gaps where our workers lie. And so we definitely have to be able to respond to that and to do better as we continue to address and confront this virus. And so those are some of the reasons why we are really pushing for this HEROES Act. We think it's something that is necessary, that definitely provides the fundings for the things that people need and not just bailing out larger corporations. And this is one of the steps to put people first, I would say.
And we know that this passed the House some time ago, almost 2 months ago, I believe, a long time ago. And it's another one of the bills sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk. Yes? Is that right?
There's been no movement.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So the pressure now, we need to pressure the senators and Mitch McConnell, would you say? I mean,
Yep. And we're asking for senators to, really take that work up to move McConnell. If McConnell doesn't have folks that are putting, a fire under him, then he's not going to do anything. And so we're telling our senators they have to act, and they also have to push their leadership to act.
Thank you.
Sorry, the last thing I see about the strike for Black Lives, and so that's happening on July the 20th. Here in the Triangle, Raise Up is really anchoring that work. They've been doing a really amazing job having workers go on strike, and they're connecting to the more recent organizing efforts around defending Black lives. And so, it's something that is led by 515, but we're also going to be showing it up in support, making sure that we're connecting the work that we do in the workplace to what's happening out in the streets, combating police violence, because it definitely impacts our membership. And so we are going to be participating in that. They've made a huge call for folks to come down, to also lend your bodies, your presence, your voices as well. And we're going to be doing that around the country. And so it looks different in the various places that NDWA is. And here in North Carolina, we're going to be working with Fight for 15 to bring that to life.
A lot of us are going to be at that protest in Durham. And also, probably everyone got an email from Reverend Barber about a toolkit for July 20th. If you're not on the mailing list of the Poor People's Campaign, I bet everybody is, but just in case you're not, just go to their website and get on their mailing list and let us support the wonderful work that your organization is doing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. And we're going to be doing another action on Thursday in Charlotte. So just look out for that, and the digital actions that you all can take part in.
And you're on our mailing list now, so please let us know when there are places that we can support your organizing efforts. We really want to.
Absolutely.
Great.
All right. Well, I have to run and do other things, organizing calls, but thank you for having me. Thank you for the song. Very much appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Karen?
Yes.
I want to ask Darlene if she will tell our Tuesdays with Tillis group about a letter that we sent out. Would you do that, Darlene?
I would. We have a group here of, 60 some people, I think, Scarlett. And we try to meet ever so often. And we've been trying to think of things to do to help, just for the upcoming campaign. And we sent a letter out, a completely nonpartisan letter to all of our members here, all of our residents here at Creekside, telling them the different ways that they can vote, either by mail or absentee or early, and what the websites that they can go to, because we have a lot of new people from out of state that have never voted in North Carolina. And so we sent the letter out to the entire community, and we got a really nice response. That people were happy. Most people. There were the grumblers, but not very many of those. And but people were happy to know that where they could go to request an absentee ballot, and that they actually could vote absentee without an excuse, and that they could vote early. And so we were really happy with our effort and felt like we had accomplished something.
Wow, that is so inspiring. That is so inspiring. Thank you. That's great. We have time for one or two quick things, and then we're going to have Mike sing and Scarlett send us out.
Can I?
Yes.
This is Diane. I'm glad to be with you guys again. It just seems like my butt has been in this chair on Zoom for 3 months, and I can't often get to your Zoom. But I'd like to make an announcement, because I know this is a group of people that cares about all of the things that you work for. And we all know that it is totally contingent on the results in November. I think we also know that voter suppression is going to be the primary motive for them to undermine the vote, because the numbers are not on their side. So I'm going to put something in the chat. I know everyone's busy and everyone's doing things, but there are 46,000 low propensity voters, African American voters in North Carolina that the NAACP National has targeted for us to reach. And so there's an early vote program, early action program to identify those voters and update the website. And there's a training that's going to be a call tonight that I'm going to put the link in the chat for. If you have time, you can get on it and decide if it's a program you want to be involved in. I am doing it through our Chapel Hill Carrboro NAACP 5689. And so we're trying to get as many volunteers through our chapter to make those calls so that we can reach these voters that we know we're going to need, because every vote is going to count in this election. They are going to challenge every single absentee ballot. I know everyone's so excited about vote by mail, but vote by mail makes me very nervous because that's the place that they're going to be able to challenge every vote. And any period or dot that's not in the right place is going to get challenged. So we need a surge, overwhelming number of people showing up at early voting to make sure that those votes count. And it's going to take a lot of work to get there in this, particularly in this COVID environment. So I'm going to put this thing in the link, and anyone who's interested that can't come on the call tonight and is interested, the whole thing didn't, it did copy. I'm going to also put my email in, and you can email me if you want to be part of this program, because I think if I get 100 people making phone calls over the next 2 weeks, we can knock out this 46,000. So I'm going to do that too. Thank you for listening.
I also want to mention that
Thank you so much.
addition to the phone calls, people can sign up to send postcards.
That's another program. This is that there is that program, and we are going to be doing that, but we're going to be doing this program first. And so there's a sequence to all of this, and we're going to try to do this first. And then we're going to work on the phone calls and texts, which is actually being done by the state. This is a national program, and North Carolina has been identified as one of the states for this national program.
It's interesting you say that, because I got a mailing from the North Carolina NAACP, and it asked us to sign up for either calling or postcards. So chapters are doing it differently.
There are two calling programs. There's a postcard program. There's a text program.
Okay.
This is a particular list that's been identified through their algorithm for this program. And the other calls might be different calls. So that's why I'm saying we're doing this sequentially.
Got it.
Thank you.
And we probably all want to be on the North Carolina NAACP mailing list as well. And if you're a member of any chapter in North Carolina, which I hope we all are, we're on that mailing list, and we'll get those emails. Julie, can you be real quick, because we're going to do the closing song?
Oh, I just wanted to share a letter that I got from a raging granny friend in Seattle. And she says, I told you of my postcard writing, decorating for encouraging votes. Yesterday, I finished 25 for North Carolina, Durham, and Morrisville.
Thank you so much. That makes me happy. Okay, we're going to have our closing song now, and then Scarlett. Thank you all.
Hello, everyone. This is a little variation on George Harrison's Here Comes the Sun. Hey, one-term Tom, do-do-do-do. Hey, one-term Tom, we all say it's all right. years, searching for you. Just one turn time, do-do-do-do, like one turn time, and we say it's alright. Done, 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 time has come. Done, 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 time is done. Done, done. It's time for eyes to stop jealous. Those kids in cages make it clear. It's just plain wrong, Mr. Tillis. We want you gone, Mr. Tillis. We will fight. They one turn Tom, do-do-do-do. Like one turn Tom, we all say, Cal's our guy.
A 181 weeks. Wow. Today, as we leave one another for another week, just look at all these faces we've seen. Beautiful faces. There were 56 of us today. Remember the voices you've heard, those powerful, powerful voices. Remember the words that have been spoken and the knowledge we've gained. You know, after each Zoom meeting, even when it's hot, I go outside and ponder what's been said and hold it in my heart. And this week, remember the service that so many of our Tuesdays with Tillis family do, from protesting, letter writing, donating to organizations, food delivery. Remember the good news we've shared, but also remember the sorrow and the anger at the actions of this administration. Because that's reality. Remember that we gain strength in the remembrance of the joyful and the sorrowful. We know that what we do is just. And we will continue doing the things that are for the benefit of the many and not for the few. This week, rest well in that knowledge. And finally, before we chant, I want to leave you with one of my favorite quotes from Waldo, Ralph Waldo Emerson. He said, "Be silly, be honest, and be kind." So I'm now going to ask everyone to unmute yourselves. Unmute. I still see some mute buttons.
All right.
Forward together.
One step back.
One step forward together.
Not one step back.
Forward together.
Not one step back. Yay.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Scarlett.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Karen.
Scarlett.
Thank you, Scarlett.
Thank you, everyone.